Four, three, two, one, and we back. Hi everyone, welcome to Voices of the Fraternity with myself, Manda, and we continue with the actuaries. In today's episode, we have Lufuno, Netshitenzhe. That's right.
You got it. You nailed it.
I have to get it. Guys, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We enjoy seeing your comments. We enjoy engaging with you. I enjoy. Let me not say we as if I enjoy engaging with you guys in the comment section. So please do engage with myself and the guest. And I hope you get to enjoy this episode. Hello, ma'am.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm so good. And yourself?
I'm good, thanks. And thank you for coming.
Of course. I'd never say no to an opportunity like this.
Is it?
It's very weird because I actually get really nervous. I know my personality doesn't seem it, but I actually get nervous. But people invite me. I'm always like, someone asks me to, I'm like, yeah, sure. And then on the day, I'm like, yo.
Why do you say yes?
My therapist, we're actually unpacking it because she's always like, you say a lot. And sometimes she's like, do you mean every yes? I'm like, that's a good question. No, but I think for me, I think given how I kind of find out by my maths teacher, and I think the profession is obviously a lot more out there, a lot more known than it was. But I think I've even watched like videos, I think even after I did the one with Tato, where people were like, oh, my little sister or cousin was considering this and this has kind of helped. Yeah. So I think there's still opportunity to get the word even more out there.
Yes.
So I think that's why when the opportunity comes, I'm always putting my hand up.
Yeah. I like that because you were on Tato's podcast and she has a different audience.
Yes.
So you speak to different people. You come to my podcast, you speak to a whole new audience. And I'd encourage you, continue because we all have different audiences, even if we're speaking about the same thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Let's begin. Lufuno, where are you from?
Joburg, born and raised.
Johannes girl, big girl.
Yes. So I grew up actually in Four Ways. I went to Four Ways High, Rindale, Four Ways High. Yeah, so born and raised in Joburg.
Really? Where do the vendor roots come from?
My dad. So my dad is Venda from Venda, and then my mom is Zulu from the East Rand. So
okay, interesting. Never grew up, born nothing in Venda.
No, but we go at least 2 times a year. Well, now it's down to 1, but growing up, but at least it would be like maybe 2 to 3 times, like the school holidays.
Yeah.
Especially those long ones, they'd ship us over there for like a month.
Okay. And growing up, who is in the home? Did you grow up with both parents? Do you have siblings?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I grew up with both my parents, and I have 5 siblings.
Yo.
Yeah, so it's an even split of 3 girls and 3 boys. I have 2 sisters and 3 brothers. And yeah, it was a very interesting home. I always say to people, I guess some people always ask, like, especially when I started living alone, do you ever get lonely? I'm like, I lived in a 3-bedroom house with 9 people. No. I'm like, no, don't.
Yeah. And of the is it 5 or 6?
There's 6 of us.
6. And where are you?
I'm number 4. So then I have 2 younger siblings.
Okay. Cool. And how was it growing up in a home with this many people?
Loud. No space, no privacy. But it was also really, really fun. I think a lot of family activities, a lot of playing in the yard. I was really blessed. My parents had a nice big yard and we played a lot. I always say a lot of my injuries my brothers used to love playing cricket in the street. And then they'd make us play wicket keeper or we must go catch the ball. Or they'd play soccer and we must play goalkeeper. Or my brother was very good at hockey and he really loved playing hockey and you would play with him, and so it was a house of always doing something. And I think that also always kept the spirit alive, and it was just a lively and warm home.
Yeah. And do you remember your earliest memories of what you wanted to become? Because I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Actually, was not.
It was definitely not it. That was much later in life. I actually used to be. So I used to write out a script for myself for UTV. Actually, interestingly, every day. Then after my siblings would say I was crazy, and and they'd find me outside. I'm there practice. It's I have you see how I have a fake camera. I'm there practice. So yeah, I guess growing up, I wanted to be a TV presenter, I guess. So yeah, no, I would write out a script. Like I had my own. I'd watch the UTV and then have my own one
Your own one.
after.
And that's how I can improve this ones.
I'd be like, okay, yeah, let me steal that from Sade today. That was good.
Okay. And when did you? So that's your younger self. What was the next career?
So, I mean, I never overthought what I wanted to become. So I remember even when it was like now time to choose the like subjects. For me, it was kind of simple. I could not draw, so the arts and stuff was not going to work out. Like EGD, I also couldn't really draw, even technical drawing. I couldn't do it. So that stuff was out. I guess what else was there? I never found like coding and stuff very interesting. So I never thought of doing like IT.
Yeah.
What other options? There weren't too many options, honestly. So then it kind of just felt like I basically just chose the things I was good at.
Yeah.
And kind of felt like they'd give me a wide variety of options. So I wasn't kind of stuck in needing to be something. I could choose anything between these things.
Yeah. So what did you choose? Which careers? So when it was time, so this would be grade 10.
Yeah.
What subjects were you leaning more towards?
So obviously maths was like top of the list. I knew that was like, I was going to do that. And then I decided on physical science, life sciences, just in case I wanted to become a doctor. And then accounting in case I wanted to become an accountant. And then the physical sciences just because I really enjoyed it. It was still very, at least the calculation part of it was very much like aligned with the maths that I really loved. So that kind of just felt like they go together. And then the other two, I guess, kind of potential career choices.
Okay. And when did you then first hear of Actuary and actually decide what was happening? Paint us a picture of you coming to know the Actuary career.
It's actually so funny because anytime I think even when Tato we did interview Tato and Fulu was like, she was in grade 9. I was like, grade 9? I think I got a kid job showing the other week. She was also grade 9. She was like, I think she even said grade 8. I was like, grade 8? It was the month before university applications were going to open for university in matric. Yeah, so then my maths teacher calls me into her office and says, okay, like application's going to open up in the next month. What are you going to study? And I had really thought through the options that I felt like I was aware of. So I thought about being an accountant, but then I went to a particular firm and did a job shadowing kind of day thing there. Well, they kind of called, I think it was almost like the top 10 or top 20, I can't remember, of a couple schools, and we went.
Yeah.
They looked so bored. I was like,
They looked bored.
This is not gonna work. So I was like, okay, accounting is out. And then I thought of engineering next, but then I thought, I kind of tried to look at first year, and I couldn't find an engineering degree that wouldn't make me do chemistry in first year. And I was like, I really don't like chemistry. So then I was like, I was like, I remember my dad really wanted me to be an engineer. So he was like, for some of these courses, it'll be like even one semester of it or something. And I was like, even one semester is too long. I can't do it. So then, so engineering also felt out, and I also kind of was doing my research, felt like very remote kind of jobs. And I was like, and my dad was like, oh, there's so many different things they can do. And I was like, I don't see myself with a hard hat and in a mine or on some plant. I just don't see myself doing that.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, engineering is out. And then I thought of law. Then it seemed like too much reading. So I was like, that's not going to work either. So I actually had just settled on the last thing I felt like I knew to become, which was a doctor. So I go to my maths teacher. She calls me into the office and she says to me, what are you going to study? So I said, medicine. And then she says, oh, no, don't do that. So I'm like,
don't do that.
I'm like, okay. So then she says to me, no, you should study actuarial science. I'd never even heard of it. And it's really weird, right? I grew up in 4s. You think I have a lot of exposure. You think I have a lot of exposure. I know so many different careers. Never heard of it, literally, till that day. So I'm like, okay, what is this thing? She doesn't even tell me what it is. She just says to me, there's so few Black women who are qualified actuaries, so you'll make money. I was literally sold. I was like, okay, something a lot of people don't do. And I'll make money from it. I was like, listen, I've always thought I was a bit special. And like, I was like, and I'm going to be rich. Okay, cool. Like, you know what? I love a challenge. I'm in. So I remember I go home, tell my parents. My mom was also like, huh? So at least at that point, I think my dad had gotten a little bit more exposure to like business, and I think he was sitting on a few boards. So I think he was a little bit aware of
Okay,
it.
sure.
But then he also was like to me, "Ooh, are you sure? Like I've heard about this thing also, but hey, people don't really get it. Are you sure?"
Yeah.
So you're in matric. You're like, I'm not even like. I remember like going into the UCT line and they were like, this one was number 1, number 2, number 3 in the country. I'm like, I don't even know what number I was. Like, let's just start there. So I'm like, but at that point, you feel in yourself, you're like, oh, I'm literally the top math student. I'm actually the top in all of these things. So I'm the top counting, science, maths. I'm like, listen, I'm me. Like, other
Yes.
people can like not do it, but me, I'm me. So you're like, yeah, sure. So I go to a career day. So my maths teacher takes, I think it was also around the top 10 at the school. From a couple schools, we go to a career day. And ESSA, which is the South African Society, was there. There were 2 representatives there, Shaw and Joanne. And they actually ended up being my lecturers at UCT. So I go to them, go to the stand and say, my maths teachers told me about this thing. And the first thing they just ask me is, what's your maths mark? And I tell them, I think it was in the 90s somewhere, and they're like, yeah, then you'll be fine.
Definitely.
Do it. So then I think from then I was like set, and I was clear that, okay, this is what I'm doing. I don't know what it is. I didn't do much more research outside of that. I just thought, okay, cool.
Yeah.
This thing looks like all the rave. I'm in.
Why UCT?
I actually, because I was a bursary student, so I was an Old Mutual bursary student, and at the time, I don't know if they've changed it now, but at the time, you actually had to go to UCT.
Oh.
Yeah, so you absolutely had to go to UCT. I remember it was actually, so I'm a big mama's baby. It was a bit of a shock for me because my mom had we had this whole plan. I was going to go to Wits, she's going to get me a car, I was going to live at home, drive, and also drive to school and back. Like, but I'm going to stay at home and be here with my mom, who like does everything for me. And then I had to go to UCT. I was not
whole
happy
plan
about
changed.
it. Listen, most people are probably like, I wanted to go as far as possible. No, I did not want to go there. But my bursary was like, that's where you're going. So I was like, okay,
Oh,
well,
my goodness.
as the funder of these studies, let's go.
And how was that?
It was a shocker in the book. I remember actually coming home after the first month, and I apparently gained not apparently, I'd gained like 10 kilograms. I come home for that after literally like Easter holiday, and my brothers are like, what were you eating?
Were you at
I didn't
res?
even notice. Yes.
The first year spread.
So but I think I was also stress eating because I was failing maths my entire first semester. Actually, the whole first semester, first half of the year, I was failing it. Like, and not even like a little bit, not like 47. Like, if you just push it a bit, you'll get there. Like in the like late 30s. I remember at some point they're actually like, you should drop out because like my sister, if you can't even pass maths, like it's the least of your worries. And I don't know what random like self-belief it was, but I was like, it's gonna be fine. It eventually turned around because at UCT at the time you had to get 70 for maths and stats, and that first year to go to second year. Somehow turned around. By second semester, I started getting like 90s and stuff for my tests and 80s. And so it worked out well, but they were right because the stats in second semester was way harder than the maths.
Yeah.
So they were right. It was the least of my worries. But somehow it worked out. And I think I always say to people, because it always see me, you can obviously see I'm a very social person, very big social butterfly, find me at all the parties. Some people's actually confused. They're like, get to graduation. They're like, wait, sorry, you weren't in humanities? I was like, no.
No.
Definitely not.
I was doing the hard degree.
Definitely not. But I think, I really enjoyed my varsity life. And I think I look back and sometimes I ask people like, what would you have changed? And people, some of the things they say is, I would have enjoyed my varsity more. I'm like, I even can't say that. I enjoyed myself. But there was a consequence to that, but I enjoyed myself. I came out with barely any exemptions.
Yeah.
So
We'll get to that. Outside of academics, I hear you say you enjoyed your life. What was the varsity life experience like for you?
Oh, it was so amazing.
Yes.
For me, it was like, and I think how the UCT program structures the XI degree, I think is also what really makes it really awesome because for the first 2 years, you're kind of you are doing your XI courses, but you're also doing a lot of other courses as part of a general, because it's like a business science degree, as part of a general business science degree. So you're doing accounting with the accounting kids, and you're doing economics with the economic kids for like full 2 years. And you're doing otherwise strategic thinking with everyone doing a beside. So it allowed you to also not just always be in like this XI bubble where you're just always doing XI courses and just with your XI people.
Yeah.
You socialize with other people who are doing other things.
Yes.
And I think that was really helpful. That helped. I think for me, even kept me sane, because I think I always sometimes don't like listen to people about the other degrees at other universities, and I'm like, I'm not sure when I've survived. I'm also like, sometimes I'm like, what was propping up your marks if it was only XI courses?
Yes.
Like, what were you getting 80s and 90s for to like bring up that XI mark that's not looking good?
They're like, no, we were strictly XI.
I'm like, what was? I was like, there was no business law or something to bring you up in ecos to like come and bring up your mark. No, nothing. Crazy.
Oh, okay. No, you had an experience. You had an experience.
Definitely, really social. I had a buzzing social life. I really enjoyed my varsity life. I think I meshed with, talked to, went out with, chilled with so many different people, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I loved my varsity career. Like, I don't advise the way I went about it in this day and age, but for my day and age, it was fine.
Why not for this day and age?
I just
they
think
wouldn't
so.
survive.
I think how I made, like I mentioned, that obviously the enjoying it came also at the cost, and I think also because I also didn't really understand that, like, what if you don't get the exemption, that will impact like your salary when you come out, how long it might take you to qualify. I didn't really overthink it. I was just like, I wouldn't get something, I'd be like, oh, it's fine, I'll just write it when I work, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it can't be that deep. Like, so I was always just like, whatever, like, it'll work out, it's okay.
Yeah.
But I think now the work, it's become so much more competitive. I think so many more people are doing it. So it's become a lot more competitive. People are really coming out with a lot of exemptions. See, at Kelifilwe before, I think Kelifilwe almost leave with everything.
She got all her exemptions.
Like, you see? And Kelifilwe is like not that much younger than me, but now it's getting like to those levels now. So I think people are excelling now. So I think it's become a lot more competitive than in my time, where kind of was just like, I feel like at the time really being black with a degree was sufficient. That's no longer the case. So I think times have changed, and so then I'm like, try to enjoy it, but like maybe also get your exemptions. I don't know what the middle ground looks like because I didn't achieve it, but like, try to do something.
I love the exemptions chat, and for those that probably have not watched Kilifile's episode or Jonathan and Olivia's episode, I encourage you to watch it. But what are exemptions?
Okay, cool.
And what was your journey with exemptions? Because fine, with the previous episodes, they explain what exemptions are, but each with a different experience. And I hear your experience was
completely
a very unique one. Yes, please.
Okay, cool. So exemptions. So to qualify, in my time, I think it's maybe come down a little bit, but at my time, you had to write about 15 exams to qualify as an actuary. In university, you could get exempted. At UCT at the time, it was for about 10 of those exams. Mm-hmm. And then that means you don't have to repeat, you don't have to rewrite it when you work, and you're just left with those last 3, 4, 5, well, now it's down to 13. You're just left with those last 3 to 5 exams. But it also helps with like your starting salary, because usually how we calculate salaries will be a base plus exemptions. So it also helps with your starting salary when you come out of varsity. So it also helps with, and it also helps with getting a job, right? Because it's usually something you have to state on your application.
Yeah,
you know, how many exemptions do you have? Even when you're working and you're still writing, people want to know how far are you on the journey. So it'll help with that as well, because obviously the further along down the line you are, people kind of almost gets also used as almost an element of competency also, to kind of go, okay, well, I guess if you can get through it, then you must be I guess competent, and somebody wants to hire. So like I said, with myself, I only left with 3.
You left with
3. So I had to write about 10 exams, pure exams, and then about another 3 that you kind of write outside of the normal exam process. But yeah, so I had to write about 10 exams. I left with 3. I only got the ones in first year, and then never again. Never again. So yeah, I think for me, like I said earlier, I didn't overthink it, honestly. No one else. I mean, people mentioned it, like, yeah, I get your exemptions, but I was like, okay, why? Like, no one ever said to me, like, what it would impact, that, okay, it will actually even impact the salary you start out with. Maybe if someone had told me that,
You
I would
would
have been
be
more
like,
motivated.
Salary, you're talking about my
Okay,
livelihood?
now you're talking about my livelihood. Okay, cool. I was just like, oh, I didn't even overthink it. I was like, just having the degree surely should be like enough. Like,
Yeah.
how hard can it really be? I'm sure it'll be fine. So yeah, I kind of left. So I left with 3, and then I had to write these 10 exams, and that took me 6 years.
Sure. And how do you then write them outside of a university setup?
Okay, so what will happen is most employers will actually support. So most like employers that have an actuarial system in their company will support exams and study leave. So what will happen is exams are written 2 times a year.
Okay.
2 sittings. So there's one sitting that happens kind of this is the first half of the year, and the second one almost in that last 3 months of the almost that last 3 months of the year. So you have 2 sittings a year, and I guess depending on your progress, you kind of can pick and choose. And I guess now they also have kind of requirements that you can't move on to that one until you've passed all of these ones and those kind of things. But you basically write them. I guess you can even write them at your own pace. But I never took a break. I wrote every single sitting for 6 years straight.
Sure.
So yeah, I wrote every sitting, and I always laugh. I say to people, I first started out my job, I worked at Old Mutual, and that was a very chilled environment. It wasn't too much.
Yeah.
I was writing like 2 a sitting. By the time I left Old Mutual, because now I was like, oh, I want to go and see what else AXA has to offer. Everyone says this thing can do so much. I'm going to go to consulting. By the time I went to Deloitte, I said to people I had 4 exams left. Those 4 exams took me another 4.5 years.
Was Deloitte too busy?
It was busy, and I knew that, right? I knew there was going to be a sacrifice that I'd have to make. But I think it could have been quicker. It could have been quicker. But yeah, the last exam, for example, I wrote 4 times. So that was 2 years of my life just writing the same exam like over and over and over again. Every other exam after that, so the other 3, the one I passed the first time, and then the other 2 I wrote at least 2 times.
Yeah.
So the last exam was my first time ever writing more than twice. I'd never experienced that. So even for me, it was like, even my parents, I remember when I asked, my dad was like, I was even scared to ask anymore. And my mom was just like, but my mom was always so cute about it. Like, for example, exam results usually, the December results usually come out, like the last ones will usually come out just before Christmas, like maybe about 5 days or so before. So my mom will, maybe we're sitting there in Venda, and my mom will be like, you've been too quiet. Can I assume you failed? I'm like, you can.
You can assume I failed.
She was like, I know results are out by now. It's not possible.
Yeah,
So can I just assume you failed? I'm like, yes, you can. She'd be like, okay, well, if you've, so my mom was always my biggest cheerleader about it. She'd be like, if you are failing, then it must be really hard.
I love that. Because you're very smart, so it must be a very hard thing.
She'd be like, if you are failing, no, then it must be hard.
Yeah. And how were the failure? I mean, let's talk about the last one where you wrote it 4 times. At each point, how do the motions differ?
So you're going to fail the first time. It was my first time failing for the first time. So it kind of always was like, and sometimes you could self-introspect. You'd be like, I remember at that time even, it was actually that first year of COVID, so 2020, I was on secondment to a client in Hong Kong. So I was working crazy hours. I was literally working 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. every day. So I kind of just put it down to that. I'm really tired. It's been a tiring whole year because I failed twice while on such secondment. But I kind of was like, the first time I was like, yeah, but let's be honest, didn't really study as hard as we could have. Okay, as per usual, just study harder next time. So I study harder next time. Okay, I fail again. I'm like, okay, maybe let's also just put it down 4 a.m. to 10 p.m. It was a hard year, me tired the whole year. I would say people was grumpy the whole 2020 because I was working like crazy. Loved the experience, but it was a hard amount of work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I just put it down to that. Now the secondment has ended. I'm going to go back to doing essay-based work. So I'll have more time. It's going to be fine now. You just have to study harder. So I study harder. And I fail again. Now I'm like, yo. I remember actually sitting on my couch for like 2 weeks. I was like playing with the mouse at work. I was like, I don't want to do anything. Like, I was just so sad. Like, I remember calling my mom, like crying, like going like, yo, okay. Like, I really feel like I'm at my wit's end now. Like, all I've ever had to do was study harder. I've done that twice.
I don't know how.
And it didn't work. I don't know. Like, what do I do now?
What other level of hard is there?
I was like, what do I do now? And I guess my mom was like, is there no way for you to access your script? And I'm like, access my scripts. I'm like, my one friend Tato, she was always that person. She fails, she goes to exam counseling, and she gets it the next time. So I was like, yeah, I remember Tato's mentioned exam counseling, where you sit down with an exam counselor, like she sit down with you, take you through the script, kind of talk you through because they're usually also an examiner, so where they can see you've kind of gone wrong and how you could potentially improve for your next attempt.
Is this something provided by the society?
It's provided by the society, but it's a paid for service, so it's not like free.
Okay.
But my mom is like, you know what, whatever the costs, like even if you need me to pay for it, like it's fine. Let's get you some help, you know.
Yeah.
So when she then said that kind of then sparked something in me to go, okay, well, clearly I need help. You know, I've never needed it before. My own ability to study harder has always been enough, but now I actually needed help. Like something's going wrong here. It's not I don't know the notes or I don't know the word. I've read them, like I probably know them off my heart at this point. So it's not that. Something else is the issue. But to unlock that, I can't do it by myself.
Yes.
So for the 2 weeks that I'm sitting on my couch, basically depressed, but still needing to go to work, at least it was like work from home those days. And I'm now setting up meetings with people. So I'm literally going through past lists, messaging people on LinkedIn and getting numbers from people. Somebody would be like, oh, I knew someone who passed, get me their number. And then I'll start, because I wrote healthcare, despite the fact that I work in it life. I would healthcare, so kind of people were helping me. Like my one friend would be like, I know somebody who eventually passed it. Like here's their number. There was a Deloitte had a healthcare like a healthcare team. So I started looking if any of the people on the pass lists were part of the team at Deloitte. Reach out to them and say, can we have a meeting? I just want to understand, like, what did you do to pass? Like that was genuinely just my question. What did you do to pass? And so for 2 weeks, I just have like 2 or 3 meetings a week. Like lunches, even go out for lunch, go meet people and just ask, what did you do to get it right? You know? And eventually one of the things that I really figured out, and one of the girls really was like, I will even mark your scripts like help you mark your scripts, because it's clearly it's an exam technique thing.
Sure.
And it was a weird thing for me to hear, because I'm like, I can't pass all these exams, get to the last line, and now I have an exam technique issue. Like, how did I get past?
How did I get past these
How
ones?
did I get past all of these ones? But then she was right. So then for weeks, like in advance, that's what we'd practice. So we'd practice how do you go about the questions? Why would you answer it like this? She would literally help me like improve my technique. For some odd reason, my exam counseling session only happened 2 weeks before the exam. So I go in and the examiner literally says to me, oh, it's so obvious why you failed. I'm like,
It's so obvious.
I'm like, you can't say that. Like, I'm a ball of nerves. Like, you don't understand how desperate I am for this. I feel like I've worked my whole life for this. Like, so you can't say it's obvious. Like, like it was just like, because he only said to me, passes and fails are actually very clear. He says it's very obvious when someone's going to pass and it's very obvious when someone's going to fail. Like, here's just like, there's really a middle ground.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, it's an obvious fail even. Okay, cool. But then he really helped me. He said, one of the things he says to me was, you don't finish your sentences. And I also was confused about that, because I'm like, so I made it this far and I don't finish my sentences. Okay, what? How is that possible?
Yeah.
And then he also gave me some tips like, oh, so because you don't finish your sentences, you then will break up what's technically a point into 2 or 3 bullet points, and you think you've got half a mark. You have.
And it was just one.
You have one. You maybe even have. He's like, you actually have like a quarter and a quarter, so you have like a half. And I'm like, oh, okay. So then I was like, oh, okay. But how then that not finishing your sentences became apparent to me was the Actuarial Women's Committee actually has a program that we run every sitting, where people in the industry volunteer to help ladies who are writing that last exam to kind of help. And we had these amazing people who worked at Discovery. Me and this other girl who worked at Discovery were the two in our little cohort. And they would have weekly sessions with us, talking through concepts and things. And that was very helpful for me because I didn't work in it. And so to actually now actually understand the practicalities of the things that I read, like actually how was it implemented. And I remember then me and that girl decided we would mark each other's scripts, also roughly about 2 weeks before the exam. I marked her very first script. I read it. I remember reading a sentence and going, yes, not incorrect, but like, where's the rest?
Oh,
and
now
that's
you
when
that,
it clicked.
Now you're that person. I
was like, yeah, no, you're not incorrect, but like,
but where's the rest?
So then that's when it clicked for me. And he said to me, if you can't read your sentence and answer, if so, why, because, and so what, it's not finished. And so I started implementing that.
Yeah.
As I was practicing now, I was like, I'd write something, but read it. Have I answered?
Have you answered these?
If so, can somebody understand why? You've made a point, but why? Because, and so
like,
what? What's the point? What are you writing this for? Like, what's the point of it?
I love that.
And that was very, very helpful. And I remember actually 2 days before the exam, the girl was helping me mark my scripts. We still did like one last final like adjustment because she was like, no, why would you do it like this? Like the exam counselor said to me, and she's like, no. And she's like, no, he's not wrong. Because he said to me, you jump around. He's like, I can notice you jump around because I'll do the paper in the order I'm comfortable in. So if it means question 3, 1 is my most comfortable, then 1, 2 is my second most comfortable. But he said to me, do a question because it's all one thought process. So then at least do the whole question together because then it's all one concept. So you're not jumping around. Your thought process is not jumping around. So then I implemented that, but then I'll do 1, 1, 2, 1, 3. She's like, well, you can still do it in the order, question 1 in the order you're comfortable in.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, we have 2 days to go, but okay, that's a fair point. I'm going to implement that. So then I remember 2 days before, she said, if you just implement that thing, we're good. You're going to pass. And I remember getting into the exam and finishing, and I remember actually going into the bathroom and crying, and a girl knocks on the door, and she says, are you okay? Like, did it not go well? Like, why are you crying? And I'm like, no, these are tears of joy. I think I finally got it. Like, I knew.
Before the results,
I knew that, if I don't get it now, I don't know when I will, because I've never felt at such ease in an exam, like, ever before.
I love that unlocking. I think it's important to realize that I'm at my ends with. Someone needs to unlock something. It's not me anymore. It's not me. I need help. And actually getting that help and realizing that, not being too cocky to think, but I know. But there has to be a point in one's journey where you're like, I need someone to unlock a piece of me that I don't have the key to. Or I do have the key, I just don't know which keyhole to go to, kind of thing. So I love that, and that it actually worked. You're at a place where you're like, you're done writing and you're like, yeah, I passed. Yeah, now I know what I was doing. I completed my sentences. I answered the 3
Listen, I didn't have time. I remember telling someone, I was like, I had 15 minutes, could go back. So I would still do it. And where I knew, like, maybe I haven't finished all my points because I try to be strict with time, I'd star it. I was like, I could go back to my stars and be like, let's add a bit more here. So I just knew.
Yeah.
I was like, I've written 4 times. This felt like the easiest attempt I've ever written.
Wow.
I even felt like it was too easy. Then remember a week before I started getting stressed because when exam results are going to come out, I start getting stressed because they come out on a Friday evening. Start getting stressed from like Monday. I'm like, maybe it was too easy actually. Like maybe we need to get like 100%. Like I was like, the way it felt so easy. No, maybe like the pass mark here is at 90%, and like all the people who work at Discovery are going to get 90%, and then like I'm going to get 89 and it won't be enough.
Yeah. Sure. How was the celebration?
It was huge. I remember actually, so the next day was actually my brother's wedding. So imagine if I had failed and now I have to go to my brother's wedding. I'd have been so sad.
Yeah.
So the next day is my brother's wedding, and I'm actually getting a dress made for my brother's wedding.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting at the tailor, and I can see the results almost hitting 6. And I'm with my friend because she takes me to go and do the fitting. And now I'm sitting there. I'm like, I hate getting results around people. I remember like, it would be like one time at Mutual, I think it was like, I was working, and then I realized, because it was still desktop times at those times, I realized it's like 10 to 6. And if I'm still sitting here when results come up, people like open them and looking
Yeah.
for your name, like they know what you were writing. I literally ran to my car. I was like, listen, I don't need to be out of Old Mutual, but I cannot be sitting at this desk. So I like ran to my car so that I get the results in the car.
Yeah.
So now I'm sitting there, I'm like, listen, it's no offense to you, nothing wrong with you, but results are like ticking down. This dress is still taking like a million years. And I hate getting results in front of people. And especially these ones, because, I'm so desperate for it. I'm a nervous wreck.
Yeah.
But we eventually get the dress with like 10 minutes to go. We're like driving out and driving back. We're in Pretoria, so we're driving back to Joburg. And then I think I remembered that, oh no, actually, they sent you an email like maybe around past or whatever. So I look at the time and I decide, I don't know why I decide it's in the car I'm going to make this decision. But I'm just like, you know what? Let me just go check my emails. So then I refresh. I obviously see in the updates folder that there's the email from Asa. I open it and I scream and drop the phone. And she's like, she almost like crashes into like the next car. She's like, what's going on? And then I'm like literally shaking. I like carry the phone. I'm like, maybe I'm also seeing wrong, but I think this thing says pass. Like, please, can you just check? So she pulls over. I'm like, please just check. Like, I think it says that, but like now I'm also not sure.
Yeah.
So she checks. She says, no, it says pass. And I just like cried for like 10 minutes.
Nah. Sure, I'd cry because, you went through
Girl.
a long journey.
Girl. I remember after that third attempt, I started being like, yo, okay, well, some people do quit this journey. Maybe this is a sign that it's like not meant for me. But I was also like, yo, I can't come this far. And it can't be like, it just can't be possible.
Yeah. And from a work experience perspective, you did Old Mutual, you did Deloitte, you somewhere else now.
At Hollard, yes.
You are now at Hollard. What are the differences?
I've always worked in life.
Okay.
But I think for me, the main differences between Deloitte, I also did a stint at EY. I think the difference between the consulting environment and a more traditional corporate environment is in a consulting environment, you'll get exposure to a lot more different things. So you will obviously have different clients or even different types of companies you'll get exposure to, even types of work. So you might find, for example, at Old Mutual, I did capital work. Hollard now, I head up the valuations team. So it's very like, this is the box we're in. And whereas in industry, it's like today you can do a piece of valuations, tomorrow you can do a piece of capital. Tomorrow, I did a year of doing like credit stuff, banking stuff.
Yeah.
When I got to Deloitte, I was like, listen, I'm here because people say X, I can do so many things. We have 6 different types of qualification routes you can take at the end. I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. Right?
Yeah.
So I want to come here. And I literally said to them, if you don't box me, we're going to get along well. Like, if there's an opportunity to go do some work in general insurance, I'm going to put up my hand. As long as you don't block that, we're going to get along well. And I was there for almost 6 years.
Sure.
So I was like, as long as I get the opportunity for that variety, that's what I'm looking for. I need to figure out what I want to do or what interests me. And this is going to be a good opportunity to get that. And I really did get that. But it is also because you're doing work for people and those work things have deadlines. It means that if you only got the information last week, Friday, and it's due on Monday, you might have to work the whole weekend.
Yes.
The deadline is the deadline. Whereas a corporate, yes, that can be the case. That does happen. But it's a little bit more structured. We have these busy periods and the rest of the time it's a little bit less, maybe building up to improve stuff for the next time.
Yeah.
So it has its periods. So it's not like it's chilled all the time, but it has a lot less pressure points. And you also have downtime. Where as a consultant, that downtime isn't as much.
Sure.
You kind of just find yourself finishing this project, rolling on to the next one. And it's just like, that one's is also hectic and it just keeps rolling. So I always say to people when I got there, it was at the right time. I was hungry, I had all the energy in the world to work like crazy. But I remember by the time I was leaving, even went over to EY, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm out of steam to work like this anymore. I was like, listen, I started this out when I was like 24. I had all the energy in the world. I could work like I could work till 3 a.m., sleep for 2 hours, get up and go again. I'm like, I can't do that anymore. The body is tired. maybe
Let
it's
the
also been
24-year-olds do that.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe it's also been abused. It's been 6 years of riding around like a crazy person and willingly, right? It wasn't even like I was being forced. I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, now the body it can't take it anymore.
Sure. And now with what you're doing, so you're heading up valuations.
Yes.
What's that?
So I always say, I kind of almost want to say so a company promises I will pay you X amount when you die or on some kind of event happening.
Yes.
You get disabled. And the valuations team then puts a value on that for the business. Because obviously that promise is then a liability for the business. Right? We hold this promise to people and therefore we need to hold a certain amount aside to
Yeah.
eventually pay it out when you do eventually die in 20 years or 50 years or whenever we expect you to die. When you actually do die, that money is there.
Okay. I get it. Rufuno, thank you so much. Look at you, you're even ready to. I'm so sorry. We've run out of time. But thank you so much for sharing your journey
No
and also
problem.
educating us on this very niche career. I appreciate it. I think you've delivered it so well, bringing in your own experience, but also still maintaining this is the journey and this is what the journey looks like. Thank you a million times to the viewers at home. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Until next time, see you and bye.
Bye.